Hi everyone, this is Dr. Serge. I hope you guys are doing okay. So today I wanted to talk about some headline that I saw. Was really interesting to me. Um, so something is going on my, okay, so let's stop this. So I saw some headline today was really intriguing about carbs. So why people are a little bit confused when it comes to carbs, the low carb diet, the keto diet, and so on and so on. And I wanted to cover carbs. Is it safe to eat carbs? Should we eat carbs? Do we need carbs? At the end of the day, the body doesn't really require carbs uh, to live, to survive. You could live on a 100% protein fat diet and you would be okay, like the Eskimos. Okay, so they will have a diet like pretty much 100% of the time, fat and protein, when the winter was really harsh. So this is the first myth: is you don't really need carbs to survive. Your body will make carbs, sugar, glucose, for the brain, for example, or for different parts of the body that needs glucose. So yes, your brain needs about 25% of his energy has to be glucose. 75%, the remaining balance, the brain can use ketones. So ketones are made when your body burns fat. So that's why the keto diet, it's really popular because it makes ketone and you're in that keto state and you feel better, you feel sharper, your brain is just more focused, and so on and so on. So you don't need carbs to be healthy. And one thing that people don't realize is your body can make glucose out of fat. This is something we didn't know, that we found out a few years ago, that we believed that protein was the main source for your body to make glucose. But we found out that fat, saturated fat, for example, can be used by the body to make glucose. So if you don't eat any carbs at all, any sugars or no starches, your body will make it. Okay. In the headline today, there was some really interesting article. One was from the New England Journal of Medicine. So the NEJM is one of the most famous, popular in the science field. So that journal is read by medical doctors, and that article was about carbs, carbohydrates, high glycemic carbohydrate, I should say. So one of the few headlines that I saw was like, for example, diet high in poor quality carbs increases the risk of heart attacks, strokes, and death. Okay. Another article says that big data link between high glycemic index, diet, and cardiovascular disease. So we've known for actually quite some time that carbs, especially those poor carbs, are bad for your body. And this is what this new article showed, that people who eat the most carbs has a 50% higher risk of dying from stroke, cancer, heart disease, or just death in general. So they showed that those foods were the quick starches like rice, potatoes, bread products, wheat, and so on. So the high glycemic index are actually bad for you for some reason, for the simple reason that it increases your insulin level into your blood. Okay, and this is the negative impact of those carbs, because high insulin level into your blood causes premature aging. So you don't want that. It's part of inflammation. It's part of obesity. It can lead to diabetes, heart disease, and cancer, and so on. Okay, because we know that cancer feeds out of sugar, for example, carbs. So this is not a new concept, actually. But this article was interesting because they make the connection between carbs and chronic diseases. We've known that for 50, 60 years. In the 40s, 50s, there was quite a bit of research done on carbs, looking at the quality of the carbs and how carbs can impact human health, human body. Related to that, there was another article that I saw about low carb, high-fat carnivore diet. You maybe have heard of the carnivore diet. So this is another more recent diet that more people are getting into. I was cautious about those diets because it's more recent. We don't really know what this diet can do long-term in the body. But the idea here is to eat 100% animal protein, animal fats. So nothing from plant-based, okay, nothing from plants, no nuts, no vegetables, no fruits, and so on and so on. So 100% animal-based. Per definition, this diet is low carb. So that's my point, it's low carb. So low carb is really popular, like I said, for the simple reason that it's really good for weight loss. Okay, so people typically do low carb, paleo low carb, or keto diet for weight loss. There's a lot more benefit to it. And we've known that since the 50s. In the 50s, there was a debate between two groups of doctors, researchers. One believed that carbs were the enemy. They were causing heart disease, for example. And the other group thought that fat was the enemy. So back then, they started to see an increase of heart disease, as you may know, and they didn't understand why. So some doctors actually came up with a study. So what they did is they took 20 people like us, and they divided these people into two groups. At the end of the day, what they did is that 20 people were put on a carb diet. So the diet was just carbs. And then they took 20 people on a diet that was just fat. And then they took 20 other people on a diet that was just protein. So they wanted to look at the macros of these different and the consequences of the macros. So as you know, the macros of these three different types of food. So after a few weeks on these different diets, so they went back to the participants and see what happened to them. So they were totally blown away by the diet, actually by the studies. So they found that people on a carb diet were gaining weight over a few weeks. And people on a protein or fat diet were losing weight. And we know today why. We know that's the case. When people do a low carb diet, they lose weight. That's automatic. There's other factors in some cases. There's hormonal factors, there's stress factors, and so on. But typically, when you do that kind of diet, people lose weight. So carbs are not necessary for the human body to survive. And low carb diet can be really healthy, can be balanced, and it can be really beneficial to improve the cardiovascular markers. Usually people put on that kind of diet lose weight, the insulin level stabilizes, the HbA1c markers for diabetes get better, the cholesterol goes down, triglyceride goes down, all those different markers of inflammation, heart disease improve. That just shows that a proof that it's beneficial for us. Okay, and there's many populations, like I said, the Eskimos, for example, were on a 100% carnivore diet for quite some time of their life because they didn't have access to a lot of plant protein, right? It was in the cold in the north. So at the end of the day, the study really that we just talked about in this article demonstrate that we shouldn't eat carbs. Those quick starches specifically are the worst. The rice, the potatoes, the wheat, tapioca, cassava. And know a lot of people in the paleo field switch to these different flours, but they're high glycemic. So you have to be careful. I see a lot of people are switching to those different cassava or tapioca products, and they, for some reason, they gain weight. So what they do is they just substitute one type of product to another one that is as bad. So you really have to lower your carb to about 5-10% of your diet. This is a good number for a lot of people. So you lose weight, you feel stronger, you feel sharper, you just feel better by that kind of diet. So I hope it makes sense. If you guys have any questions on carbs, low carb diets, keto diet, paleo diet, you can write a comment below. Thank you for watching tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless y'all.